So you're thinking of moving to Fremont, California, and you want to know what the pros and the cons of living there are? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about today. And if you stay till the end, I'm going to drop a couple of pieces of Fremont trivia on you. So let's get to it. Welcome to the Thriving in the San Francisco East Bay channel. I'm Rich Fleming, your local realtor, and I'm here to teach you everything you need to know about living, working, playing, sleeping, eating. You know the drill in the San Francisco East Bay. I get people who reach out to me all the time with questions about what to do before they get here, what they need to know before they get here, how do they transition here, and I absolutely love it because that is why I do these videos. I have moved places and not known a single person or a single thing. So if you got questions, you know what to do, drop me a text, give me a call, send me an email, because when it comes to helping you transition to San Francisco East Bay, I got your back. Now in today's video, I'm going to cover some pros and cons of living in Fremont, California. So without any further delay, let's just jump into those pros. So the first pro of Fremont, well, that's its location. And if you aren't familiar with the Bay Area geography, Fremont lies just north of San Jose. So it gives it excellent access to Silicon Valley. And Silicon Valley is pretty much considered to run from San Francisco all the way down to San Jose along the San Francisco Peninsula. Now, Fremont is on the east side of the bay, and the San Francisco Peninsula is located on the west side of the bay. However, Fremont is just north of San Jose, so it's very easy to get there. And you have access to the Dumbarton and San Mateo bridges, which give you access to the San Francisco Peninsula. So if you're working in the world of tech, the commute isn't too bad by Bay Area standards if you're living in Fremont. The second pro of Fremont, well, it's weather. And the weather in Fremont is very temperate pretty much year round. In the winters, you'll get down to the high 30s most of the time, maybe low 40s. And in the summer, you get up to the 80s. You really don't get much above 90, maybe just 2 or 3 days a year in Fremont. It is not an extremely hot area, being that it lies very close to the bay. So you have a very temperate weather pattern year round in Fremont, and it makes life so enjoyable. So the third thing that people love about living in Fremont is that it has a very strong school district. So Fremont is a place that people seek out when they move to the East Bay because that school district is consistently strong throughout the city. So a fourth thing that people love about Fremont, it's a safe city. So when you go to many of the crime statistic websites, Fremont ranks as a very safe city for a city of its size. And you always have to consider when you're looking at these statistics that the statistics are generally given for the entire city. You have to realize that in many transportation and commerce areas of the city, you will often experience more crimes, such as car break-ins and things like that, just because there's more opportunity there. In residential areas, the crime rates tend to be lower, and Fremont really is an example of this. So while the statistics overall are pretty strong in Fremont, but definitely when you're in the residential areas of Fremont, it is an extremely safe city. So a fifth thing that people love about Fremont, well, it is the access to the outdoors. You have a lot of parks in Fremont, and you have very good access to some of the parks in the East Bay Regional Park District. Fremont has its own water slide park, so there is plenty of opportunity to access the outdoors. You're not that far from Santa Cruz and Capitola. You're not that far, relatively speaking, from Tahoe, Reno, so on. So there is a lot of opportunity either within an hour, hour and a half driving, or within about 4 hours if you're going up to Tahoe. And that's assuming it isn't snowing and it isn't a holiday weekend where everyone in the world is going up to Tahoe. In that case, it might be a 6 to 8 hour drive. A sixth thing that people love about Fremont, Well, it's access to a strong job market. So this ties into its geographic location near Silicon Valley. Now, if you work in tech, Fremont is a great place to live because you have such easy access, relatively speaking, to San Jose, the peninsula, especially the South Peninsula area, where a lot of tech jobs are. So it is a very desirable place for that reason. And a seventh reason that Fremont has become increasingly popular, well, this has to once again do with the tech industry. So relatively speaking, and that is the key phrase here, is relatively speaking, Fremont is much more affordable than some of the cities in Silicon Valley, such as Mountain View, Redwood City, even definitely Palo Alto. So even though Fremont is very expensive by the standards of just about anywhere else in the country, compared to being actually in Silicon Valley, the housing prices are a fair amount less. You might expect to pay 20 to 40% less, depending on the actual city, than you would pay for the same house in Silicon Valley in the peninsula. So we've made it through the pros, but you want to know those cons. So let's just jump right into those. And the first one is related to the last pro, and that is housing cost. So by East Bay standards, Fremont is a very expensive housing market. So the median home in Fremont cost over $1.5 million, and that's up over 32% in the last year. Now, in comparison to many other East Bay cities, this is very expensive. But like I said, in comparison to Silicon Valley Peninsula cities, this is actually not that bad. But like many things in life, it's all a matter of perspective. Now, the second con to living in Fremont, the traffic. Now, the Bay Area is known for having its traffic challenges, and I'm being kind there. So traffic is always a source of conversation in the Bay Area, but in most of the Bay Area, traffic tends to flow either towards Oakland, San Francisco, San Jose, and it flows one direction in the morning and another direction, the opposite direction, in the afternoon, evening. But that is not the case in Fremont. And the reason why is its geography. So Fremont happens to lie in a location where you can either drive south into San Jose to work, or you can drive north and westward across some bridges to get to Silicon Valley, or you can continue driving north to get to Oakland and potentially cross the Bay Bridge to get into San Francisco. So given that people work in all directions when they live in Fremont, well, guess what? That means traffic is in all directions in both the morning commute and the evening commute. So Fremont tends to be a hard place to drive. You never really get a break driving in Fremont during commute hours. So a third thing that people don't really like about Fremont is that it really doesn't have a shopping hub. So when people go shopping or want to go shopping, Fremont is very much designed as a, for lack of a better term, strip mall city. Now, some of these strip malls are really tiny and some of them are huge, but it is really a strip mall oriented type of shopping experience. If you are looking for a concentrated area for shopping, there is New Park Mall in Newark, or you have to go down to San Jose, such as to Santana Row. But there's really not much shopping in Fremont, so it can be, quite honestly, a little bit of an irritant. So a fourth con about living in Fremont, well, it's kind of related to the third con. There's really no nightlife or cultural hub to Fremont. I mean, after 9 o'clock, there's essentially nothing to do in Fremont. Now, Fremont doesn't have a real hub area for dining and cultural events. Restaurants, things are spread out all over the city. And if you're looking for nightlife, such as bars and nightclubs, you are definitely going to be disappointed in Fremont. For that type of activity, you have to go down to San Jose, maybe some of the cities in the peninsula, or up to Oakland or San Francisco. A fifth con to living in Fremont, well, it is the lack of public transportation. So bus service in Fremont is very limited. Now, it does have BART stations, and that's very good if you're heading up to Oakland and San Francisco, somewhere along the BART line. But if you're going to work in Silicon Valley, San Jose, or the peninsula, you are going to pretty much be forced into your car. There is really not a lot of options for you as far as public transportation is concerned. So if you're moving here from a major city like New York, Chicago, well, you're going to be a little bit disappointed in your public transportation options in the Fremont area. I promised you some Fremont trivia, and that's what you're going to get right now. Trivia piece number 1. Fremont isn't that old. Fremont was incorporated in 1956 when 5 towns merged to form Fremont. Now those 5 towns were Warm Springs, Niles, Mission San Jose, Irvington, and Centerville. And there are still areas in Fremont that basically maintain these names. They're basically districts within Fremont. Each of the areas still maintain a lot of the character from when these were individual cities. Trivia piece number 2, when Apple Computers first started manufacturing its products, its first Apple computers, they were manufactured in Fremont. So no, they weren't always manufactured in China. Trivia point number 3 about Fremont, it was actually an early area for the filming of movies. So in the early 20th century, when movies were just starting to take hold as far as the culture and entertainment is concerned, a number of movies were filmed in Fremont. This includes 5 Charlie Chaplin movies, including one of his most famous movies, The Tramp. Now, if you're looking for more information about the general Fremont area, some of the other nearby cities, Newark, Union City, I did a video to teach you a little bit more about those cities. So check out this video right here. If you have any questions about anything I covered in this video, or just have general questions about the San Francisco East Bay, you know what to do. Drop me a text, give me a call, send me an email, because when it comes to helping you transition to the San Francisco East Bay, I got your back. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows to show it to other people with interests similar to yourself. Hit the subscribe button and hit that bell notification so you know each and every time I drop a new video. I'll catch you in the next video.